Shalom family, this is your brother Rael from Reunited Soul coming to you with another thought-provoking discussion. Not just telling you what you may want to hear, but telling you what you need to hear to assist you on your journey. In this discussion, I will be posing the question, are you wholly following the Most High? Following Him part-time or caping for the dysfunction? And by caping for the dysfunction, I mean to support, defend, or participate in the very dysfunction that not only brings ruin to our community, but to the future of our children as well. So let us nourish our soul with scripture that we may reunite with the Most High, the Elohim of Yisrael. All scriptures will be read verbatim from the King James Version Bible. Now let's get right into it. Have you ever found yourself watching one of the many black popular television series where the main character is a sophisticated drug dealer dispensing poison into the black community? The star of the show carries himself not as a villain of the community, but as a wise, mild-mannered family/businessman, wearing the finest suits, driving high-end vehicles, owning lavish homes, has a beautiful wife, charming kids, and pretty much living in the lap of luxury. Now, I am going to ask that you bear with me for just a moment, family. Trust me, I am going somewhere with this. Now, do you ever find yourself becoming emotionally invested in such a black TV series, where the main character happens to be submerged in criminality, contributing to the dysfunction of the black community? But the moment that law enforcement comes crashing down on him, or some other drug lord of another nationality threatens to infringe upon his drug empire, do you ever find yourself cheering and caping for this main character as if he is some kind of hero of the black community? Or whenever he outsmarts law enforcement to evade being thrown in prison, do you find yourself breathing a sigh of relief? Do you ever find yourself cheering him on as he goes to war with another crime boss of another nationality to determine who will flood the black community with the most drugs? As if drugs distributed by a black crime boss are much better for the black community. And let's not forget the flip side of the black TV shows, where our black women play the main characters who are portrayed as hypersexualized boss chicks or city girls, prancing around in attire that leaves little room for the imagination. Of course, she also drives the high-end vehicles, lavish home, fancy restaurants, living in the lap of luxury, and without a husband. Did you catch that? And regardless of her professional success or how high she is in the business hierarchy, she fails in her ability to maintain a functional relationship with a black man. Do you ever find yourself cheering and caping for this boss chick as she is reduced to being a sexual object, bouncing from handsome man to handsome man and enjoying it as if she is living her best life? Because she is such a boss chick, she cannot be bothered to be properly courted, respected, protected, and loved by a black man. Now, the question that the black community should be asking ourselves is this: are we being entertained or strategically programmed? And let me repeat that. Are we being entertained or strategically programmed? Programmed to do what exactly? To accomplish what 245 plus years of brutal slavery, on top of another 150 plus years of oppression, could not. And that is to corrupt black culture, dismantle our unity, crush our spirit, and to destroy our hope as a people. Tragically, it seems that our own people through the guise of entertainment are more than eager to finish the job that racism did not have the power to do. However, that is indeed a discussion for another day. Now, if I can just expound a little further, our black entertainment is usually served to us hot with a heaping of senseless sex, a pinch of adultery, a splash of perversion, a sprinkle of criminality, as much humor as you can spare, and a generous amount of violence to really spice it up. This is our black entertainment diet, brothers and sisters. And all you can eat buffoonery. Sadly, we have simply allowed money-craving degenerates and reprobates to run rampant in our community to redefine black culture. Truly, the entertainment industry, which is not ran by our people, is betting that we will support our culture in spite of, no matter what, no matter how bad it looks. That we will support and follow our black celebrities that have no qualms about defiling and corrupting black culture to fit the negative stereotypes designed to dehumanize us as a people. Now, some of you may remember that they dehumanized our ancestors to justify the institution of chattel slavery. Just food for thought. But let's be very, very clear in regards to the black community. A person do not only sell their individual soul to get a bag. They, in all actuality, are selling out the well-being and dignity of an entire people. And as long as the money flows, our people, along with those who look like our people, will line up to do whatever it takes for an opportunity to grab the bag. It is painfully obvious that the black community has a very high tolerance for allowing hustlers to make their fame and fortune at our people's expense. Or better yet, our demise. It is ingrained in us that we must respect a person's hustle just as long as they succeed in getting the bag. And the bigger the bag, the more respect we as a people put on it. Now, show me a people who measure success in the amount of dollars, and I will show you a people soon to be morally bankrupt. One last point before I get into the meat of this discussion. It seems that we as a people are destined to blindly follow black culture to whatever end. To whatever end, brothers and sisters. Caping for the dysfunction and following compromised celebrities who are chasing a bag that is not intended to ever benefit the black community. Following so-called black activists who are chasing the bag. Following cult personalities chasing the bag. Following organizations chasing the bag. Following movements chasing the bag. And following religious leaders chasing the bag. It seems to be a vicious cycle that never ends. Caping for dysfunction and following those who are chasing the bag at the expense of the black community. And if you are not down with following that logic, then you must be a hater, right? Or jealous. So you can either get in line with the rest of the followers or simply leave the culture altogether, which many have already chosen to do, and that is by design. I will expound on this later on in this discussion. Now that I touched on the problem with caping for the dysfunction and blindly following the bag chasers, let's get into the most valuable option that we have as a people, which is wholly following the Most High. Wholly following the Most High. Sounds good? Then let's get into it. To confirm through scripture that we must wholly follow the Most High, we will have to go to Torah, that we may learn from our biblical ancestors. Now, according to Numbers chapter 32, verses 8 through 13, we will see the Most High acknowledging who was wholly following him and who was not. And I read, "Thus did your fathers when I sent them to Kadesh Barnea to see the land. For when they went up unto the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel, that they should not go into the land which the Lord had given them. And the Lord's anger was kindled the same time, and he sware, saying, Surely none of the men that came up out of Egypt from 20 years old and upward shall see the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me, save Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was consumed." Now, for those of you that have been following my channel for a while, know that I read verbatim from the King James Version Bible, simply because it is a very common version, which happens to use the word holy, as in wholly following the Most High. Some other versions may use fully or wholeheartedly. But most importantly, we know that some form of superlative is used to express to the highest degree, as in not just following, but following to the highest degree, wholly following. I wanted to clarify this because in a moment I'm going to present you with another scripture in regards to King David that used the word fully instead of wholly. With that said, let's go ahead and define the word holy, that we are all on the same page in this discussion, especially since this is not a word that is commonly used. So according to Merriam-Webster, holy means to the full or entire extent, completely, to the exclusion of other things, solely. Holy, to the full extent, not partially, not sometimes, not just on the Shabbat, but to the full extent, and to the exclusion of other things. In other words, not including other gods or idols. Holy, meaning completely and solely. That is what the Most High requires of his people. Not difficult at all to understand. Not an impossible task to achieve. For whatever purpose, for whatever reason, there is always a significant amount of the Most High's people, our people, that simply refuses to meet that requirement. We saw it early on in the wilderness, then long afterwards when they entered the land promised. We must understand that when we wholly follow the Most High, it does not make us perfect people that can do no wrong. No, not at all. Even our beloved King David, who was a man after the Most High's own heart, was not a perfect man. He made major mistakes, but he wholly, or fully, as you will see in a moment, followed the Most High. So again, when we wholly follow the Most High, it does not prevent us from making mistakes. However, it does prevent things from getting between us and the Most High. Things that will cause our hearts to turn from the Most High, as did in the case of the wise King Solomon, who followed not the Most High as did his father David, according to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 6. Let's go to it. And I read, "And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father." As a result of not fully following the Most High, King Solomon allowed the corruption of idolatry to enter into his kingdom by way of his idolatrous wives. And as many of you know, idolatry is an abomination to the Most High, a very serious transgression. Even today, we have no fear or caution towards idolatry because many of us have been suckling on the milk of idolatry since birth. We have been celebrating pagan holidays throughout our childhood. Therefore, as adults, we are more inclined in this ungodly world to ignore or justify idolatry rather than seeing it for what it truly is, an abomination to the Most High. For example, our people grew up celebrating Easter Sunday since we were children. Easter egg hunts, marshmallow chicks, and chocolate rabbits. Now, at what point do we ask the question, what does any of these creatures have to do with the Most High? Nothing at all. But millions of people practice this pagan tradition year after year without fail, as if it is a rite of passage for children to experience. We must understand that this is merely a way of introducing paganism into the worship of the Most High. First, by combining the New Testament to the Tanakh or Hebrew Bible. Then, through celebrating the pagan holidays associated with New Testament belief. So, I would like to pose the question, are you wholly following the Most High, following part-time, or caping for the dysfunction? And if you choose to follow the Most High through practicing pagan holidays, or following the Most High through a proxy god or idol, then you are not following the Most High at all. You are following an abomination. Period. Let's not get it twisted. You do not get partial credit for being seduced into a situationship with an idol. Whether it's your pastor's fault, your more's fault, brother or sister so-and-so's fault, it is still an abomination to the Most High. And just because you may still call the Most High your Elohim, does not make it so. Just because you are his people does not entitle you to go where those who wholly follow him go. Case in point, the Most High allowed his people that he himself delivered out of Egypt, who did not wholly follow him, to wander and die off in the wilderness, while allowing those who wholly followed him, along with the younger generation, to take on the challenge of going to war and possessing the land. You see, those of his people who were delivered out of Egypt may have felt that they were entitled to enter the land promised, but found out the hard way that there were requirements that they did not meet. We will, as his people today, make the same mistake, or learn from our rebellious biblical ancestors. Please understand, brothers and sisters, that the Most High will root out all corruption from among his people before allowing them to move forward into their inheritance. The corruption simply cannot come with them. We must not forget that our biblical ancestors corrupted themselves in the wilderness with the golden calf after hearing the Most High's voice on Mount Sinai. They were in no condition spiritually to be led by the Most High and go to war with the idolatrous nations to possess the land promised. just as we have corrupted ourselves with idolatry and adopted the ways of the heathen in the land of our captivity. Many of us have and are in the process of turning away from that corruption. Shout out to my Torah only brothers and sisters. Much love to you. And now we seek to wholly follow the Most High as best we can, despite our captivity. Despite that majority of our people are beholden to the heathen and their gods. Despite that our culture have been transformed into buffoonery and perversion. Let's be very clear. The heathen has made it a lucrative business in ensuring the world that the black community is the representation of ungodliness, while presenting themselves as the beacon of godliness and salvation. A total role reversal was achieved, although the archives of history reveals a different story. The irony, if it were not so tragically painful, would be quite laughable indeed. In conclusion, to wholly follow the Most High as required through Scripture, we now understand that this means to follow to the full extent. Not partially following, not sometimes following, not just following once a week on Shabbat, but following to the full extent. And to the exclusion of other things, therefore not including other gods or idols. Wholly meaning completely and solely. Wholly following the Most High means that we should be familiar with His laws, statutes, and commandments. That way you know what the Most High requires of His people. You can easily find them online or take a look at my Moshaic Law series, where I'm in the process of covering each of the 613 laws, where I identify laws that are duplicate, laws that we are not currently able to observe, and those that are merely religious tradition and not commanded by the Most High. I will place the link in the description for your convenience. Now, if we take the flip side to wholly following the Most High, then we will see those of His people that have chosen to follow the heathen and adopt their ways. I am certain that many of us in our lifetime, especially before awakening to the truth, have taken to the ways of the heathen and participated in their traditions. And to the detriment of the black community, many of us have partaken in the snares set by the heathen. Snares such as idolatry, hypersexuality, perversion, drugs, violence, glorifying criminality, buffoonery, misandry, misogyny, etc., etc. All snares that currently defines black culture. Now, we as a people have more black TV shows, movies, and hit songs than any time in history. However, you will clearly see the snares just mentioned promoted in all of them, one way or another. And when our potential black young men and black women do not portray these images of stereotypical black culture, then they are deemed not black enough. Not enough swag, as they would call it. Not street smart, cringe, or too corny. This is how we treat our best and brightest who, for whatever reason, reject the heathen's black culture programming. Yes, brothers and sisters, black culture programming. And as a result, they are shunned and ostracized by their black peers. They simply do not fit the social mold of black culture. But, wait for it, lo and behold, guess who is waiting in the wings to scoop up our best and brightest that choose to escape the snares of the black community? I'll wait. That's right, the very same people who set the snares. They will happily take with open arms those that the black community have been programmed to reject as social misfits. They will accept them, cultivate them, marry them, and inherit the financial legacy of the black community's best and brightest talent. We see it all the time, and although many of us hate to see it, who can really blame them for wanting to get away from the black community that has judged or treated them unfairly? It is unfortunate, however, that their rejection of the stereotypical black culture, in addition to the heathens who pander to them, results in the self-hate of their skin color, their black features, their people, and black culture as well. This is very unfortunate. Now, once we wholly follow the Most High, we will no longer have time to follow the heathen and fall victim to the snares that they have set in our community. Wholly following the Most High will allow us as a people to know our value and worth. We will have no need to seek validation from other people. We will no longer have to escape the dysfunction of our people to seek covenants in marriage with other people. So, for those of you who know that black entertainment has been corrupted by the heathen and still continue to support it, you simply corrupt yourselves. However, when you have become corrupted, you will no longer have the discernment to even care one way or another. Basically, if it feels good to your flesh, you are not going to flow against the stream. You're going to flow with it and go wherever it takes you. Now, if the goal is to wholly follow the Most High, then we as a people must have a very low tolerance for idolatry and idolators. If the goal is to be wise, we as a people must have a low tolerance for foolishness. If the goal is to be a force to reckon with, then we as a people must have a low tolerance for buffoonery. If the goal is to be excellent, we as a people must have a low tolerance for mediocrity. If the goal is to establish a culture worthy of future generations to emulate, we as a people must have a low tolerance for cowardice and betrayal. It seems that we as a people do not have a problem looking back and celebrating the greatness of our ancestors and the great civilizations that they built upon the earth. But we cannot even be bothered to defend our culture from those who wish to marginalize and destroy it. Many of our people are too busy caping for and defending the dysfunction that is literally destroying our culture. Black men and black women cannot be bothered to work out our differences and build strong relationships together and build strong families together, because it is much more entertaining to watch ourselves argue back and forth, tit for tat, to show and prove who is to blame, relishing in our own intellectual treachery, while our children's future hang in the balance. And what does the future hold for our children? What dysfunctional legacy are we passing down to them? Boss chicks or city girls for our daughters and passport bros for our sons? Let's hope not. We must acknowledge the role that we as a people play in our own demise. As responsible parents, we should be steering our children clear of our dysfunction, not making them pawns in it. So the question remains, are you wholly following the Most High, following Him part-time, or caping for the dysfunction. If you feel that the content of this discussion was useful and would like to provide moral support to this channel, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video, or just share a few words of encouragement in the comment section. Your moral support is greatly appreciated. And whether you agree or disagree with the content of this discussion, feel free to express it in the comment section as well, where we can learn more from one another. With that said, always keep your trust in the Most High, love Him with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. See to it that your household is in line with the word of the Most High as best you can. I thank you for taking the time to watch. Again, I am Rael, your reunited soul brother. And with that, I say to you, Shalom.